But how do you move in with a vision of your parish that really looks at everything you do through the lens of evangelization and get your people to see that? I'm just going to name a few. I think the biggest thing, and some of the recent documents from the bishops have talked about evangelization and catechesis. So that sense of awakening in the faith and then inviting people to deepen the faith. But I guess I would say true catechesis is information for the sake of transformation. True catechesis is that integration of evangelization and catechesis. So again, that awakening of the faith and then the deepening of the faith. So as you look at your religious education programs, anytime you bring adults together, especially those young parents, do you see it as moments of evangelizing, of awakening people's faith, of talking about that friendship with the Lord? Sacraments, we often hear in different theological reflections and spirituality of sacraments as doorways of holiness. And I would add sacraments of doorways of welcome, particularly in this time and culture today. And for young people, both marriage and baptism. So how do we approach them in a welcoming way, in a way that we can lead them to an understanding of what a sacramental marriage is all about? I think, too, baptism, bringing children for baptism. And there's an openness. We talk about these evangelizing moments. Anytime there's a transition, one of those is a new baby, we see people wanting to come back to the church. There are things that we could do, just humanly speaking, to invite and say that we want these young families to be part of our parish communities. Other places, you know, First Communion, First Penance, Confirmation. And another place, of course, is wakes and funerals. This is another time that people are so vulnerable, so in need of the healing of the Lord. So what are ways that we can welcome people? Many of these folks, you know, for the people who stand and sit and don't know what to do, many of these folks are people that are former Catholics or go to church sometimes. So again, how do we, in the most welcoming way, to make these liturgical experiences really what they're meant to be? Instruments and vehicles of the Holy Spirit touching and healing people, and the power of the sacraments. I'll tell you a Catholic folk tale. I think it was Bishop Morneau that told this story. So this is the story. A man walked into church wearing a hat. The usher greeted him saying, "Sir, welcome to the parish. Thank you for coming, but please remove your hat." The man walked into the church and he didn't remove his hat. When he sat down, the lady behind him tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Good morning." He said, "Good morning." She said, "Do you know you have your hat on?" He said, "Oh, yes, thank you." And he didn't remove his hat. Then the usher comes a little while later and says to him, "Sir, your hat." He said, "Oh, yeah, thank you very much." So anyway, as the Mass continues, the Mass ends, and the priest there in the back of the church says, "Excuse me, sir, I don't remember seeing you in church before, and I'd like to welcome you. I noticed that you left your hat on during the whole Mass. Do you mind if I ask you why?" And then the man said, "Father, I have been coming to Mass for 6 months now. Not one person has ever spoken to me, and since I wore this hat today, 3 people have stopped me to welcome me, and even you went out of your way to reach out to me." So, the fable of the man with the funky hat.